W6LG for Ham Radio Basics. Welcome to my radio room here on Wolf Mountain. This is the second of a 10-part series on the extra class exam. And my thought is that if you go through these videos 2 or 3 times, you should be able to pass the test. Once you keep a positive attitude along those lines, that you are going to pass the test. In fact, you're going to get 100%. Go in there with a positive attitude that you know this and you know it well. Quick comment. Some of the questions I've looked at previewed on the screen, I don't know. Some of them are so obscure, I don't know what value they have on the exam. Okay, so let's get going. I've got 3 screens set up. 2 are working with the camera, which has been problematic at best. And on my 3rd screen, I've got the questions. So I'm going to be looking at that through most of the video. Okay, so here we go. Here's sub-element 2, operating procedures, 5 exam questions in 5 groups. Question E2, A01. What is the direction of an ascending pass of an amateur satellite? The answer is C, south to north. So I guess that is ascending. Well, this next one, maybe we'll answer that. E2, A02, what is the direction of a descending pass for an amateur satellite? It says A, north to south. Okay, got that. E2, A03, what is the orbital period of an Earth satellite? And the answer is C, the time it takes to complete 1 revolution around the Earth. So that one's kind of a giveaway. Orbital period is just the time around the planet. E2A04, what is meant by the term mode as applied to an amateur radio satellite? The term mode, what does it mean with respect to a satellite? In satellite speak, it is B, the satellite's uplink and downlink frequency bands. E2A05, what do the letters in a satellite's mode designator specify? It gives the D, the uplink and downlink frequency ranges. E2A06, on what band would a satellite receive signals if it were operating in mode U, like UHF, /V, VHF? The answer is A, 435 to 438. So that is on what band would a satellite receive? And the receive is the UHF, 435 to 438 megahertz. E2A07, which of the following types of signals can be relayed through a linear transponder? Very few questions on the exam are all, and this is one of the few, and it's all modes: FM, CW, SSB, SSTV, slow scan TV, PSK, and packet frequency shift keying. A2A08, what should effective radiated power, let me read that again. E2A08, why should effective radiated power to a satellite which uses a linear transponder be limited? I think that's a pretty obvious answer. It's B, to avoid reducing the downlink power to other users. In other words, you could capture the satellite and nobody else could get in. At least that's my understanding. E2A09, what do the terms L-band and S-band specify with regard to satellite communications? And the answer is A, 23 centimeters and 13 centimeter bands. E2A10, why may the received signal from an amateur satellite exhibit a rapidly repeating fading effect? Why does it do that? And the answer is the thing is spinning. So it's strong, weak, maybe completely gone. E2A11, what type of antenna can be used to minimize the effects of spin modulation and Faraday rotation? I have no clue. They say it's B, circular polarized. Well, I guess that makes some sense. So no matter what the polarization is, you got it covered. E2A12. What is one way to predict the location of a satellite at a given time? D, by calculations, the Keplerian elements for a specified satellite. I think the easy answer is you look it up on the internet, or a calculator or a pad that has the an algorithm. All right, enough of that. E2A13. What type of satellite appears to stay in one position in the sky? And that's a giveaway. It's geostationary. I'm sure you knew that already. E2A14. What technology is used to track in real time balloons carrying amateur radio transmitters? What technology is used? It's APRS. I got a feeling that's going to change. Okay, this is the next section on television practices. E2B01. How many times per second is a new frame transmitted in fast-scanned NTSC television system? The answer is it's 30 frames per second. There's an interesting question here that you might want to ask a friend of yours real quick. Ask somebody who knows what NTSC is. We all know those are the letters. PAL is the other system, but do they know what NTSC stands for? Okay, E2B02. If I can get it to go up the screen. Okay, E2B02. How many lines, horizontal lines, make up fast-scan NTSC television? That's 525. E2B03. How is an interlaced scanning pattern generated in fast-scan NTSC television system? It does the odd and then the even numbered ones. So the answer is D, by scanning odd numbered lines in one field and even numbered lines in the next. Interlaced. E2B04. What is blanking in a video signal? It says it is, I have no idea. It says B, turning off the scanning beam while traveling from right to left or from top to bottom. Okay, why is it on here? E2B05. Which of the following is an advantage of using vestigial sideband for standard fast-scan television transmissions? What is the advantage? And it says the advantage reduces bandwidth and allows for a simple video detector circuitry. Probably the NTSC guys, the National Television System Committee, I think it was. E2B06. What is vestigial sideband modulation? It's amplitude modulation in which one complete sideband and a portion of another are transmitted. I have no idea why that's on an amateur radio exam. I really don't. E2B07. What is the name of the signal component that carries the color information in an NTSC video? That one's probably giveaway too. It's chroma. Think of chroma color. E2B08. Which of the following is a common method of transmitting accompanying audio with an amateur fast-scan television? The answer is D. It's basically everything, frequency modulation and on UHF and VHF links. E2B09. What hardware, other than a receiver with single sideband capability and a suitable computer, is needed to decode SSTV using digital radio mondial? The answer is D. It's a trick question. There's nothing. You hook up a computer to a receiver and put in the software and off it goes. E2B10, which of the following is an acceptable bandwidth for digital radio mondial, I don't know the guy's name, based upon voice or SSTV digital transmissions in the amateur bands. In the first sub-element we talked about 3 kilohertz. This is going to be the answer here, 3 kilohertz. And actually I think most guys transmit a little bit less bandwidth than that. E2B11, what is the function of vertical interval signaling, VIS code, sent as part of an SSB transmission? It's apparently sent to just identify that it's SSTV. E2B12, how are analog SSTV images typically transmitted on the HF bands? And that's with tones, varying tones. So it's D, varying tones representing the videos are transmitted using single sideband. And for example, in 20 meters, if you go to 14.230, you'll hear lots of guys doing that and having fun. E2B13, how many lines are commonly used in each frame of an amateur slow scan color television picture? And the answer is there are 2 groups. One is 128 lines, the other is 256. E2B14, what aspect of amateur radio slow scan television signal encodes the brightness of the picture? And that is the tone, the frequency of the tone. So it's A, tone frequency. Come on, mouse. E2B15, what signals SSTV receiving equipment to begin a new line or new picture? There's some tones sent out, and if you listen carefully, you can hear that at the beginning of transmissions. E2B16, which is a video standard used by North American fast scan ATV stations, and the answer is D, NTSC. What is the approximate bandwidth of a slow scan TV signal? Again, it's B, 3 kilohertz. E2B18, on which of the following frequencies is one likely to find FM amateur television transmissions? And this again is ATV, and the clue on this one is which of the following frequencies is one likely to find FM, not single sideband? So the answer is D, 1255 megahertz. Okay, E2B19, what special operating frequencies restrictions are imposed on slow scan TV transmission? At first I thought none, but the answer is C. They're restricted to the phone segments, and their bandwidth can be no greater than that of a voice signal at 3 kilohertz. So those are restrictions, 3 kilohertz, and in the phone portion of the band. All right, next section, operating methods. E2C01, which of the following is true about contest operating? And we just had a big contest this last weekend. And the answer is operators are permitted to make contacts even if they do not submit a log. Well, of course they are. E2C02, which of the following best describes the term self-spotting in regards to HF contests? That's where you put, you go to one of the DX clusters and you put your call up that you're on a certain frequency. And the answer is the generally prohibited, frowned upon, practice of posting one's own call sign and frequency on a spotting network. Although during the contest this last weekend, I did see it a few times. E2C03, which of the following bands is amateur radio contesting generally excluded? And that's 30 meters. E2C04, what types of transmission is most often used for a ham radio mesh? That's mesh as opposed to mesh network. And the answer here is spread spectrum. Again, obscure question. E2C05, what is the function of a DX QSL manager? And the answer is to handle cards. It's B. good friend of mine, N4GNR, Dan Sisson, is QSL manager for a lot of guys. E2C06, during a VHF-UHF contest, in which band segment would you expect to find the highest level of activity? And the answer here is C, in the weak signal segment, where there is the greatest activity of guys calling. E2C07, what is the Cabrillo format? And that's a logging for contests. E2C08, which of the following contacts may be confirmed through the U.S. QSL Bureau system? The answer is B, contacts between U.S. stations and non-U.S. stations. E2C09, what type of equipment is commonly used to implement a ham radio mesh network? And the answer is C, a standard wireless router running custom software. Don't ask me, I don't know. E2C10, what might a DX station state that they're listening on another frequency? In other words, maybe transmitting on 14200, listening 14210 or 14205 or somewhere. The answer here is D, all the above, and it says A, because the DX station is transmitting on one frequency that is prohibited to some responding station. Well, that was true years ago, but not so much anymore. B, to separate the calling frequency, separate the guys calling from the DX station, so they're on different frequencies. C, to improve operating efficiency by reducing interference. There's less interference of the transmitting DX station when you go split frequency, and it was different when the band segments were very much different. Some guys made a lot of use of split frequency, de-expeditioners like Don Miller. E2C11, how should you generally identify your station when attempting to contact a DX station during a contest or in a pilot? It says send your full call sign once or twice. There are a lot of DX stations that really don't want to hear just Lima Golf. They want the complete call sign. So that's generally true. But there are times when I've just stabbed in Lima Golf and a break in the pilot. E2C12, what might help to restore contact when DX signals become too weak to copy across an entire HF band a few hours after sunset? That's a question more about the gray line, which maybe will come up here. As the upper bands start to go away during periods of high sunspot activity, you may lose 10 meters first, and then 15 meters, and then 20 and 40, and so you can work your way down. I've done that. It's a pretty rare occurrence during the bottom of the sunspot cycle because the other bands just don't work very well. E2C13, what indicator is required to be used by U.S. licensed operators when operating a station via remote where the transmitter is located in the U.S.? And the answer is none. Surprisingly, none. The days of W6LG portable W5 or something like that, they're pretty much gone. Okay, here's on to D. E2D01. Which of the following digital modes is especially designed for use for Meteor scatter signals? And the answer they have is FSK 441. I would disagree with that today. There's a better answer than that. E2D02. Which of the following is a good technique for making Meteor scatter contacts? You know, we had so many where it was a D, all the above. I'm beginning to think that if you don't know and you even think it's close, and D is all the above, go for it. This one says A, a 15-second time transmission. B, CW or digital modes. C, short transmissions while rapidly repeated call signs and signal reports. All those things are true. Okay, next question is not coming up on the screen. Okay, E2D03, which of the following digital modes is especially useful for EME? And they have JT65. Again, that maybe is changing. E2D04, what is the purpose of digital stored and forward function on an amateur satellite? The answer is C for digital messages to be downloaded later. E2D05, which of the following techniques is normally used for low Earth orbit LEO digital satellites to relay messages around the world? And the answer is B, they're stored and forwarded. E2D06, which of the following describes a method of establishing an Earth-Moon-Earth EME contact? And the answer is A, synchronous transmissions alternating from each station. E2D07, what is the digital protocol used by APRS? And the answer is AX25. E2D08, what type of packet frame is used to transmit APRS beacon data? And the answer is unnumbered information. I'm getting more messages about the first section of this exam review. Okay, E2D08, what type of packet frame is used to transmit APRS beacon data? And it says the answer is unnumbered information. E2D09, which type of digital modes has fast data throughput under clear communication conditions? And it says the answer is 300 baud packet. E2D10, how can an APRS station be used to help support public service communications activity? It says C, an APRS station with its GPS unit can automatically transmit information to show a mobile station's position during an event. And we used that during one of the fires here, and it worked well. You could find their location pretty quickly. E2D11, which of the following data is used by APRS networks to communicate your location? And the answer is D, lat and long. E2D12, how does JT65 improve Earth-Moon-Earth communications? And the answer is it decodes signals many dB below the noise floor. And that's true. I've used it, and you can't hear the signal, but it decodes it. It's smart stuff. E2D13, what types of modulation is used for JT65? And the answer is it's multi-tone frequency shift keying. E2D14, E2D14, what is one advantage of using JT65 coding? And the answer they give is the ability to decode signals which have a very low signal-to-noise ratio. And again, I worked a guy in Mozambique. I couldn't hear him. Listening to the headphones, there was no signal there, but yeah, I got a report and the whole thing. Okay, on to operating methods for HF digital modes. E2E01, which type of modulation is common for data transmissions below 30 megahertz? And the answer was frequency shift keying. Again, I think that's changed. E2E02, what do the letters F, E, C mean as they relate to digital communications? And the answer is forward error correction. E2E03, how is the timing of a JT65 contact organized? They're done in 1 minute intervals, but there's a E2E04, what is indicated when one of the ellipses in an FSK crossed ellipse display suddenly disappears. It says selective fading has occurred. E2E05, which type of digital mode does not support keyboard-to-keyboard operation? And the answer is WinLink. E2E06, what is the most common data rate for HF packet? The answer is 300 baud. E2E07, what is the typical bandwidth of a properly modulated MFSK 16 signal? And the answer is just 316 hertz. E2E08, which of the following HF digital modes can be used to transmit binary data? And the answer is Pactor. Which of the following HF digital modes uses variable length coding for bandwidth efficiency? And the answer is PSK31. E2E10, which of the following digital modes has the narrowest bandwidth? The answer is CPSK31. The others, the first one is 316, the last one's 300, and PSK31 is 31. E2E11, what is the difference between direct FSK and audio FSK? So one is coupled through the transceiver's audio input. The answer is A. Direct FSK applies the digital signal to the transmitter VFO. So everything really, there's no audio involved. It's just doing what it needs to do with the frequency shift. E2E12, what type of control is used by stations using the Amateur Link Enable Protocol, ALE? And it's asking what type of control, and the answer is automatic control. So C. E2E13, which of the following is a possible reason that attempts to initiate contact with a digital station on a clear frequency are unsuccessful? Here's another word, it's D. It's all the above, and transmit frequency is wrong, timing could be wrong, can't hear you, any number of questions. And that is the last question on the exam. And again, it took about, on this sub-element, took about 30 minutes. If you have a question, post it below. If you read somebody's question and you have an answer, answer the question. And if you have a comment, or if you saw, or if you heard me inadvertently give the wrong answer, or read a question incorrectly, or make some mistake because it's late at night, let me know. Post it on there, and we'll do a correction. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. We're at 16,000, and I'm hoping to get to 30,000 in the next year. For now, I'm Jim, W6LG for Ham Radio Basics. Thanks for watching. You will pass the exam. You can do this, even with some of these crazy questions. 7-3.